Okay. Good evening. Shalom Aleichem to everybody. Gemar Chasim Tova. You know that we are here to talk about some not such simple ideas and not such simple problems. I am unfortunately not the one that's going to solve any of the problems because I'm not going to be changing the situation any of you are in. And there's no way that I can say that I can fully understand and appreciate the depth of the difficulty of being a single parent and trying to support, raise, and take care of a family with those difficulties. At the same time, it's clear to me that we have to do everything possible to try. And I'm going to be dealing more with the chinuch aspects of these issues and less with the solutions, the financial solutions. Mesila has other people that perhaps have helped you to develop a thought process into how to go about this. I'm going to try to share with you from the experience I do have with young couples who are no longer couples and families that are no longer with two parents, some ideas of how to make children, how to help children become partners as opposed to just victims. I think that the source of the issue here, the core issue that we have to deal with, is exactly that. And our attitude as to whether or not we are victims or living, functioning people that have a vitality in our lives with all of the difficulties, that is going to make the biggest difference as to how children will accept, respect, and deal with the difficulties of our situation. Being a single breadwinner today is hard for anyone. When you add to that the emotional trauma of children that need or seem to need more, and the attempt to give them everything that we want to make up. We want to make up to them. We don't want them to feel like they're less because they have less. We don't want them to feel that they're not worthwhile. So, if anything, we want to compensate. We want to give them more than the other kid. We want them to not only have what everybody else has, but to have more than everybody else has. And here, it's really going to take a mind switch into what does everybody have and what does nobody have. What is it that we can give our children that is essential? What is non-essential? What are the things that if we give them to our children, they're more meaningful than anything else that we can give them? Parents often, especially in this situation, because of the need to provide, are going to work extremely long hours. They have to make ends meet. In order to make ends meet, and they have to spend more double or triple time in the office or at their jobs, leaving the children with very little emotional support. What your children need more than anything is you. And you means a person who is a functioning, emotionally stable human being that understands that your main goal is to provide your children with a sense of stability, a sense of love, a sense of being cared for. People have lived through extraordinary poverty and raised beautiful families. The difference here is that because we were not in poverty and now things have changed and we feel impoverished, or because there were two breadwinners and now there's one, and sometimes there really weren't two, and the whole marriage was difficult, and the years before the end of that marriage, whether it was in the tragedy of a person who was sick and then lost his life, or somebody who was divorced by the time everything happened. There's usually been a period of time before that. But the sense of coming from that place where I thought I was going to have everything, I got married with the hope that we were going to build a family, we support our children, we take care of everything, and then that is shattered by whatever circumstance shatters it. The feeling of, oh no, what's going to be with me now? What am I going to do? How am I going to make this work? How am I going to give everything? How am I going to make this what it should have been? And what maybe it never was. For some people, yes, it was that way, and now it's lost. And for some people, it never was that way, but it was a dream, it was a hope. In either case, right now we're living in a situation that is difficult. How do I live in a difficult situation without making it a difficult situation, without turning it into, we are now victims of the unglorious developments in our lives. We are now the victims of this terrible situation of which we have to blame or to mourn or to simply throw up our hands and say, there's nothing we can do about it. This is what has been done to us, and this is now the situation we're in. Those are all thoughts, the thought process of victimization. And what we really want to give our children is, we are capable, we can do this, we can make it, we can live lives of vigor and vitality, we can live lives of excitement, we can be productive, we can be constructive, we can be creative, we can do whatever it is that we need to do. Yes, so right now we don't have the money for this or that, but you know what can we do? What are the things that we can do as a family? How can we spend time together and create positive family time that give us joy and that gives appreciation of one another without things? Because it's really not the things that we remember in life. It's not the things that give us happiness in life. It's not the things that give a child a sense of security. I know that it is difficult for a child to see themselves different than their friends. Yes, it is true. It is difficult for a child not to have what so many people around them seem to have. Excuse me. Excuse me again. Yes, it is difficult for a child to sense that everyone else in their class is doing this or going to there or buying this and they're not getting it. And I always tell people that when you can provide your child with the things that everybody else has, it's a good thing to do. It's not smart to make our children different. But what happens when our children are different? These are the facts of life. Our children are now living in a different kind of family. Our children are living with one breadwinner. And if the mother is the one that's now the breadwinner, she's also, a mother. And that's not a simple situation. We can't change that right now. And if we can't change that right now, what can we do? What can we do? And now this is not a philosophical question or theological question. It's an educational question. It's an emotional question. It's a psychological question. It's a question of how am I going to deal with my situation now? Am I going to be a victim? In which case my children would feel like they're victims. And if they feel like they're victims, then they're going to feel constantly behind the eight ball, in the corner, unfair situation, blaming just like me, and expecting the world to resolve and solve my problems. Or I can be a productive person, which I do my absolute best. And I share with the children the fact that we're all doing our absolute best. And we do things together. We do things together to save money. We do things together to make some money. We do things together in which they partner in sharing some responsibilities, finding new ways to do things better. I know a family who made it a whole entire family project. They had to move out of their home. Unfortunately, the agreement was such that the only thing that she could do to get what she needed to get was to leave without anything. And she left without anything. She left without anything and 4 children. And they had to move into an apartment which was unfurnished. They needed to find things. They needed to find a way to do things. They made it a family project. They went on a scavenger hunt. The family together went and found almost everything they needed without walking into a store. They were creative. They fixed up something. They asked someone else to help them fix something else. They found a washing machine that needed $100 of repairs, but it was cheaper than buying anything that they could have bought. They were creative. It's not the fact that they got everything. The story of how much they got or how much they didn't get was not the issue. The issue is that this was a mother who said, I am not going to turn us into victims. I'm going to turn us into creative, effective individuals. I'm going to make my family a unit of people who are going to resolve and solve problems together and make things work. She asked the children, what they can do, what they can do. All the books that they got for school were used books. So what can we do to make our books the nicest books? I'm telling you that the kids went to school with the nicest, cutest, funniest books of any of their friends. Their friends all went to the store and got their Mickey Mouse or whatever it is that was appropriate in their schools that they got. These kids made book covers that were so creative and so funny and so geschmack, so nice, that all the other kids in the class were jealous of them. Wow, where did you get that? Yes, that takes a little bit more time, and time is of essence, and you don't have that much time. But it's really a question of the time that you spend with your children. Are we going to spend it listening to their complaints? Are we going to spend it trying to ward off their pain? Or are we going to try to turn our lives into productive, happy, successful lives? Successful doesn't have to mean that we have a certain amount of money, that we have a certain kind of income. Successful means that our children feel good about themselves. They feel that they are capable people. They feel that they're independent and able to do things that other kids can't do. And yes, children who don't have a father living at home have either one way of raising that family is, oh no, we are without. Another way is, we're going to make this work together because we can make this work. And we're going to find the people who can give us support, even if it's not financial support. Who's going to give the ruchniya support? Who's going to learn with my child? Which neighbor is going to go with my kid to shul? How am I going to find a way to bring someone into my life, whether it's a young boy from the neighborhood who's going to take my kids and is going to learn with them? What is it that I can do, not to sit back and worry about my situation, which is very normal to do, but what am I going to do to make it into an effective meeting of children and myself, to turn them into productive people? Obviously, I'm going to have to recalculate things. Obviously, I'm going to have to make a lot of Mesila kind of decisions as to prioritizing what's most necessary, what's less necessary, what's the best way to make my income go the furthest. What are the things that I'm going to get them no matter what, and what are the things I'm going to pass on for now? And I'm going to explain to them that this right now, this is not what we're doing, but we're going to do everything that we can to give them everything that they need. Excuse me. Excuse me. It's just a virus. There's another very, very big difficulty that I know is very common and one of the hardest things for a single mother to deal with. And that is that when the children are living with mommy, so daddies can be sugar daddies. They can have them once a week, give them candy, take them places, do things with them. or just give them efkeris, just give them uncontrolled time. We think that the child is going to automatically be drawn to that, and he's going to want that. What most fathers don't know how to do is to give their children quality time where they listen to them. A mother who learns to listen to her children, a mother who learns to sit with her children, even if it's for a few minutes, but to talk to them about the things that they're worried about the things that they care about the things that are important to them, is a mother who children will want to stay with. You don't have to buy your children. That's what very many exes do. They figure they'll buy the children. And yes, kids are definitely drawn to that, and they will be drawn to that. But when a child has to make a decision of where his loyalties are, of who he can trust, of who he feels comfortable with, and who he wants to spend time with, it's going to be with the parent that knows how to listen. If your child is leaving home and going to the other and complaining and having a listening ear, then that other parent is going to get the child not because he gives him candies or shows him movies or takes him somewhere he shouldn't take him. He's going to get him because that child feels that he has an ozen kashevet, he has a listening ear at the other end. And your power as a mother is to be a mother. And it's true that now you have another job, and the other job is an almost impossible one. But you're not allowed to forget your first job, because your first job is the one that's going to allow your children to get what they need, to hear you, to get what they need from you in terms of the support that they need, of the emotional support they need, of the love that they need. I want to make something clear. We're not talking about letting kids, involving children on a very strong level in the financial situations of the family. When we bring children in, we don't bring them in by telling them that now the electric bill is this and this is a problem. When we need to save electricity, we need to save electricity. It's not about that the electric bill is X, Y, or Z, and it's what we need them to help pay for that. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about involving children as in that arena. What we are talking about is allowing children to acknowledge and recognize that they are partners in helping the family make things work. They're partners because we're all in this together, and we're all living this together. And we have to live this together. We have to live this together, and we have to allow for the flow of ideas, of information. We're not putting the burden on the children. We don't want to burden the children. We want to create a sense of togetherness, a sense of everyone contributes. And when you do, wow, that was so great. Someone just thought of something, and it's a great idea. Now we're going to make sandwiches like this. We're going to do this like this. We're going to let kids be creative. You'll be surprised at how creative children can be. You'll be surprised at how wonderful children can be when they are given the chance to participate. Over participation makes kids think that they're the boss, that they're the mommy, that they're the ones. I came up with this idea, so now it's all me. No, we make sure to retain our authority, to retain our position. At the same time, when we give a child a compliment for a great idea, when we give a child an indication as to how much we appreciate his contribution and his thought, we are helping him become a partner without becoming a person that needs to carry the burden, because we don't want them to carry the burden. It's not up to them to carry the burden. I don't send my children to work, but I allow them to babysit. I allow them to do things that will help them have income, so that there are things that they want that they can have. I don't take that income and say, okay, now we have money to pay the electric bills. As a child grows up, if they sense that we're worried about them and we're concerned for them and we're always looking out to give them the things that they need, and we want them to have and save that money so they can get the little the camera that they were hoping for, or that they could buy a sefer or a book or something that they were interested in, whatever it is, and they want that, those rollerblades, those skates, the skate, or whatever it is that they wanted, and here it is, you're getting closer to that goal, and you're going to have it. When they see that we're interested in them and we want them to have what they want to have, you'll see some of those children as they grow older saying, "Ma, I'd like to contribute a little bit to things in the house." Even then, you're not going to say, "Okay, you can play this," but you can say, "Okay, this is going to help that on Shabbos we're going to get something special. This is going to help that we're going," and do something that maybe you would have done anyway, but you can give them credit for. Not something that's the basic essentials, but something that they can feel that they're contributing to the warmth, love, and the contributions of the house, that you give to your children, that you give to everybody. There seems to be a technical glitch here. I don't see on the camera. I don't know if I'm seen. I'm not sure. Let me just see if I can get hold of somebody who can tell me if this is working. Okay, I don't see the screen. I don't see myself on the screen. I don't know if I'm seen, and I'm supposed to have a place here to put questions and answers, and I don't see that on my screen either. So if there's someone, if perhaps somebody who knows what to do can unmute themselves by pushing *6 and telling me what to do, that would be fine. As soon as I'm finished, I'm just gonna have a few more moments of what I want to share, and then I'm going to open the floor to questions if someone will tell me how to do that. Okay, and yes, so children need a mother, and a mother who is a mother and a father, and everything else that needs to be in these situations. Different situations have different levels of complexity. The bottom line is that the mother is the one who cares for her children. She cares for her children. She cares about her children, and she cares for her children. And when children feel cared for, when they know that the mother is interested and worried about them, I'm going to tell you something that perhaps you all know from life. Sometimes you ask somebody for something, or you expect something for somebody, and they can't provide it to you. Because they can't provide it to you, they feel frustration. And because they feel frustration, they respond to your request in a way that makes you think that you're a bother to them. What's really happening is that they're frustrated because they love you so much and they want to give it to you. But that frustrated response is really causing you to feel alienated and not wanted and not cared for. There is nothing more, the only thing that works, sometimes even more, than, Ma, can I have this? Sure, take the credit card, go buy it. Is, do you know how much I was thinking, how much I wanted to buy that for you? I'm waiting for the day that I'm going to be able to get it. Right now I can't. But you know I love you so much and I know how much you want to have that. And as soon as I can get it for you, I will. And if there's a way to get it, you're going to get it. Even though now I can't get it for you. But I always think about you and I always wish, how are you doing without that? You know, if you say to a kid, you know, I really wanted to buy you a new suit for Yantif, and I think you really deserve one. You really should have one. As soon as we find the way to do it, we're going to do that. Before he asks for it and you have to say no, you say, I want to get it for you. Right now I can't. We're going to look for a way to get it. I heard that there might be a way to get something. We're going to go below. We're going to go try something on, maybe secondhand. I don't know. But when you are looking for the solution because you care about your child, and your child knows that you care about them because they see you looking for the solution, they sense that you are thinking about them. We all know that we all would prefer to get a bar of chocolate that somebody bought us because they thought about us, than a diamond ring that they got us to try to make us to compensate for not being there. Every one of us knows that. The little things in life that we get for our children because we love them, the little things that we buy them that are insignificant to most people, but to them it's significant because they know it means that when you were out on your way home from work and you were thinking about them, you stopped special and said, you know what, I know that she loves this, I know that he loves this, I wanted to make sure that you get it. That little thing gives a child much more than what you think. Again, I am not coming now to try to say that a person can live without money. I'm not saying they can live without income. And I'm not trying to make believe that I have the solutions. I don't. The solutions we need many, many people in Klal Yisrael to help with. And Mesila is one of the great organizations that just help us to rethink and refocus and prioritize and figure out how to make do with what we have and how to live with what we have. That's their job. I am coming to you with one request, and that is to look at yourself as a mother. A mother takes care of her child in all situations. She takes care of her child in danger. She takes care of her child in difficulty. She takes care of her child in challenge. They're your children. And the one thing they need from you more than anything else, and now I'm speaking educationally, psychologically, emotionally, the one thing they need more than anything else is for their mother to care about them and take care of them. And when you feel that you can't take care of them because of the financial, you're losing out on something very special. You're losing out on realizing that you can't do more than you can financially. But emotionally, that's where they need you most. And I know that this is a challenge because I know that many people who went through difficult situations of losing a husband one way or the other, losing a marriage, losing the family, having difficulty, there's plenty of emotional baggage that's coming along with that. There's plenty of difficulty that comes with that perhaps you yourself need strengthening and you yourself need chizuk for. I'm not going to deny that. You need to take care of yourself. But taking care of yourself means being able to be there for your children. And right now, at this point in time, wherever that is, if you're listening, if you're on the webinar now, that means that what you need to do is to start figuring out how can you take care of yourself so you can take care of your children. What can you do for your children to make them feel loved, cared for? Because that's going to be the most essential ingredient of anything you can give them, worth more than anything you can buy them, and more important than anything that they're missing in life. Because the one thing that a person can't grow up with is without motherhood, without a mommy who loves them and cares for them. And no matter what your situation is, even if you were a mommy that didn't have a mommy that loved and cared for her, so you may be have your own emptiness. This, by the way, there's a great book, a very, very good book, which I highly recommend, called I just I'm looking at my bookshelf because I thought of mentioning it, and now I dropped the name dropped out of my head a minute ago. Running on Empty. It's a very special book that helps somebody whose mother did not give them fill themselves up so that they can give to their children. In any case, that's parenthetically speaking. Right now, this is your job. Right now, this is what I'm sharing with you as the essential ingredient of raising children during this difficult time and situation. And I can only daven that now, as Yom Kippur is coming, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give each and every one of you Gemar Chassidut Teva. Each and every one of you should have the bracha of Parnasa and Simcha, joy in the home, and love in the family, so that you can take care of your children with the way that a mother needs to take care of her children. And now I would like to open up this discussion for questions. I can do that on the phone. You can do that by pushing *6 on the webinar. I'm looking for something that I'm coming up. Here's Q&A. Okay. I now have a place for someone to ask a question as well. So if you would like to ask on the phone or ask the question, I will try to respond to the best of my ability. There is a 20-second delay, it seems.
Rabbi Greenwald, can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so I have an additional piece to the financial hardship, which is that my children's father, at the same time as he does provide them with things, is very obsessive about money. So I have kids who are very anxious about it on the one hand, and on the other hand, we don't really have. How can I cultivate this attitude of it's okay without getting them worked up about it?
Okay, so you're asking a very important question. You're saying that while you have your family, your home, your husband, your ex-husband, is a man who's very obsessed about money, and he brings in anxiety to the children because the children hear from him and are getting his messages as to the importance and absolute value of money. So what can you do to cultivate a different aura, a different atmosphere? Right. No, you don't want to put him down. Again, very, very rarely do we fight or create an alternative by fighting the other side. Meaning, saying that that's not a way to live, and he can't do that, and every time he says that, don't believe him. Of course, that's not going to help. However, in your home, you cultivate a different atmosphere, and when your home is a happy place, because you make it a happy place, when your home is a creative place, because you make it a creative place, so then the fact they will soon notice that there's a difference between the two places. They'll notice that one place creates anxiety, one place creates simcha. You're going to notice the difference in what one person is bringing to them and one doesn't. And yes, it may take time for them to learn that, but they will learn that. And eventually they're going to make decisions. Some children might be like your husband by nature because they have his genes. And some of your children may be learning from him. Those who have his genes are more likely to take them at those lessons, but even they will begin to notice that how come mommy doesn't worry about these things? How come mommy doesn't say these things? And if they ask you, then you can say, Baruch Hashem, we have each other, we have our lives, we have our health, we have a place to live, we have most of the time food to eat, whatever the situation is, and we can be thankful for that. And another person might be anxious, that's a decision. You don't have to counter his position, you have to create a different milu, and you do that by having your home the place you want it to be. This is not a one-time thing. This is not something that happens in a day. It happens in a week. We're talking about chinuch. Chinuch is a lifelong investment. We can spend many, many years till we get the results we hope for in chinuch. Whether it's a kid that has a hard time learning, and we have to invest an enormous amount of time in helping him learn until he begins to appreciate learning. Whether it's a child that has difficulty with his midos, and we have to give him many, many, many years of help before he can learn to put himself in his self-control and to put his midos in check. Or whether it's a financial situation that has to be dealt with and has to be treated a different way. The way you treat your children, the way you treat your situation, your children is what your children will learn that they have an alternative. There's time for more questions. If everything was so clear to everybody that there's no necessity for more questions, then we can finish now. I'll wait another minute or so and see if there's anyone else that would like to contribute a question that hopefully will be for everybody's benefit. Okay, in today's world, a moment of silence is an extraordinarily long time. I'm going to assume that we have finished. I prepared what I had to say, and I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it here. And thank you all for participating, for listening. I hope that in some way this has enriched your thought process, or maybe planted a seed for a new thought process. And once again, I wish you all a Gemar Chassim Teva, a good convention to your Yimale Hashem Kol Mishalos Libchem Latova. Hashem should fulfill all of your everything, all of your requests, all of your needs in the best way possible. And you should have a year of great joy, simcha, nachas, you and all of your children and families. Kol Tov.